People think taxes are bad.
People have to understand about taxes is if you don't put any focus on your taxes, that is your biggest expense every single year. And you'll know when taxes start to become a problem when you start earning into the six figures. That's when taxes start to really become a burden. The first month and a half that I joined my mother's company, I got into the best shape of my life, like body fat percentage down. I was eating tilapia and fish every day. I didn't sell anything, didn't make any money. So after about 5 weeks, my mom called me into her office and she was like, Karlton, listen, I'm not gonna have this anymore. I think honestly, when you're growing a business, tax planning is not the first thing to focus on. The first thing to focus on is let me make money first.
What's one of the biggest personal challenges you had to overcome?
I wanted to prove something. I wanted to prove to my parents that I could become successful in my career, prove to other people that I didn't need to do football anymore. And
Welcome back, everybody. Listen, do I have some action for you today? The gentleman that I'm talking to today not only made a hardcore, totally unexpected pivot in his career, but comes from a profound athletic and fitness background to then transitioning into one of the most influential people in the financial planning sector in the entire country. Not only a quick pivot, but he's also become one of the most profound brands in the industry with the YouTube channel and social media following, now venturing into the millions of subscribers and tens of millions of views. I think the dude knows what he's talking about, so I'm going to hammer him a little bit today. I want to welcome the CEO of Tax Alchemy, Karlton Dennis. What's up, Karlton?
man, thank you, Joe.
Good to
Thank
see
you for
you,
the
man.
warm introduction, man.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having me on.
Dude, I've been looking forward to this because we have run-ins
Yeah,
around town, similar circles and whatnot.
absolutely.
Right. We're always like, let's get back together. Let's get back together.
Yep.
Your schedule, crazy. My schedule, crazy.
Yep,
And, you know, you've also turned a lot of your attention to the family life as well.
that's right. That's
Some
right.
exciting things happening.
That's right.
But I want to utilize your time the best and also throw some gold out for the audience. So
Let's do it.
you made a complete pivot, man. Like a lot of people right now have committed to their degree or their line of work. Yours was in the physiology
Right.
and health world, the fitness world. You were pretty much a pro athlete in the football world.
Yeah.
And then if you look at athletes and whatnot, nobody's going to sit there and be like, I bet you in 2 years that dude's going to become a nationally known financial and tax expert.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to look at somebody in the athletic world and make a statement like that.
Yeah.
But not only now, I've seen people dabble, but you didn't dabble. You just went, boom,
Yeah.
turn, got into the business, learned very, very quickly, and now have become this sort of like celebrity advisor in this space. Totally unpredictable. Tell us a little bit about the pivot, what was going through your mind at the time.
Yeah. Well, first off, I truly wanted to play football. So I just want to make sure I get that out there. Like
Yeah.
my
You still look like a
intention.
football player, right?
Yeah, I keep myself in shape. And that's not going to change either. World's most in shape tax professional.
Yeah.
That being said, when I got to college, I learned really quickly what was required to go to the NFL. And I was 5'9", 5'10", playing the cornerback position. I did pretty much everything I possibly could to prepare myself to get ready to go to the NFL. But then I started doubting myself right towards my senior year. And then I went to career fair, started talking to some companies at career fair, and decided to just apply for a job instead of doing my NFL pro day.
Oh, wow.
So this was like the first time that I didn't bet on myself and I went in a different direction and decided to go take a career. And I wanted to prove something. I wanted to prove to my parents that I could become successful in my career, prove to other people that I didn't need to do football anymore. And it kind of bothered me because I didn't feel like I had this passion anymore. So I started my personal fitness business. My personal fitness business started to grow. And what ended up happening is I didn't realize when you have a 1099 income business that the IRS tracks all the 1099 income that you're earning. So later on that year, I got a letter in the mail from the IRS or Uncle Sam, this person who I never met at any Christmas parties, no Thanksgivings, nothing. And it said that I owed him about $14,000. Now, in my bank account at the time, I only had about $11,000. So I couldn't understand how I owed Uncle Sam more than what I had. And this is when I learned about penalties, interest fees, and being late on filing.
Yeah.
And so this was the first time that I actually humbled myself and was like, you know what? I just need to stop for a second financially and reach out to my mom and ask for help. And when I did, she was kind of like, why didn't you call me? She was a little upset because she had owned a tax and accounting company for the last
That's
30 years.
That's right.
She's like, I could have taught you how to set up an LLC, how to take write-offs, showed you how to report the income correctly.
Yeah.
And so she pretty much showed me how to get on a payment plan. And although I had been working in a sales career for Gallo Wine Company and doing my personal training business, I thought it would be a good idea to convince my mom to allow for me to come work inside of her company.
Mhm.
So I sold her on the idea
Mhm.
of allowing me to start a sales division inside of her company. Now, I had no tax knowledge yet, had just paid Uncle Sam a huge tax debt.
Your education was not in that.
No, my education was not in that. I went to school for kinesiology because I thought I was going to go to the
That's
NFL.
right.
So I had no real interest in taxes, but I was interested in selling and working on my personal fitness business.
Mhm.
The first month and a half that I joined my mother's company, I got into the best shape of my life, like body fat percentage down. I was eating tilapia and fish every day. I didn't sell anything. Like literally created my own commission structure,
Mhm.
didn't make any money. So after about 5 weeks, my mom called me into her office and she was like, Karlton, listen, I'm not going to have this anymore. You know that I'm not going to let you just sit here, eat, go to the gym, and just take up space. Sit in my office, watch what I do for a day. And when I watched what she did for that day, Joe, it changed everything for me. The first people that came into the office were just looking to file their tax returns, husband and wife, super simple, W-2 taxpayers. They got their returns filed. But the second people that came into the office sat down and asked my mother something different. Rather than asking about filing the returns, they specifically said, Carla, we're making more money this year. How do we protect this money? What strategies can we implement? And then my mom started elaborately explaining these tax strategies and a process of how she's going to implement them throughout the year and slid them a contract for $25,000. Now, at the time, I was in my office writing workout programs for people for $200 a month. So I quickly did the math and the math wasn't mathing. That was my first time where I realized, okay.
How much are they paying?
Yeah. And this was a 30-minute conversation.
It's a big deal.
25,000.
It's a big deal.
So that changed everything for me. Seeing that at 22 years old, I realized, man, if I just stop for a second and learn this right now, could you imagine by the time I got to my mother's level, like what I could be doing? So I went to Target that night and I bought a recorder and I sat the recorder in her office. And the next day it recorded 8 hours of content of my mom talking.
Wow.
Now I had a script.
Who would have done that?
I know, because studying taxes is hard. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to just, where would I start? Right? Where do I go and start studying taxes?
Dude, I've been coaching people for 20 years and I got to convince them to even whip out a notepad.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to slip this video recorder.
Yes. I went to Target, bro. I'll never forget how much I paid for it. It was $17.79. I bought that black recorder, slid it in.
How you remember stuff
Yes,
like that?
bro. I remember that. And I sent it to rev.com. Rev.com transcribed it. And 2 days later, they sent me back an email with the entire recordings.
Wow.
So then I just went with
how old were you at this time?
23.
23.
Yeah, I was 23.
All of y'all listening right now that are between like 17 and 25 who are frustrated with what you're involved in, right? Or taking on this cookie cutter approach in your careers, listen to this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no. I was 23 years old and I got my highlighter and printed out the pages and just started highlighting all of the moments right before somebody paid my mother. Like all of the high key moments that she was talking about, strategies or LLCs, the process. And I created this little script and started scheduling myself phone calls by calling people in her database. Now I would just line up a power dialer and they would just keep calling people. And I was just booking myself appointments.
Dude, this is crazy.
And then I just started selling this script.
You modeled after you noticed that there was a pattern when your mom would enroll people or would commit them.
Yes.
You duplicated it.
And I didn't have to learn tax knowledge yet because I was just saying specific
set up
things.
A dialer.
Yes. Yes.
This is crazy.
Yes.
You set up a dialer that would do the dialing for you. And when people came on the line, you let it rip.
Yes. That being said, then I was like, okay, now that I'm making money because I was on a commission structure, I can afford training. But instead of getting tax training, I went and got sales training. I bought Grant Cardone's program, started reading all of his books. Now I felt lethal. Now I really know how to sell. I'm staying on the phone longer. I'm charging more prices. I'm setting up payment plans.
He takes an aggressive approach.
He takes an aggressive
for your style.
Exactly. And it's perfect for tax too, because you never find somebody in the tax professional space that's really excited about saving you money, enthusiastic about talking to you about what they're going to do. They're more laid back and behind the computer, more traditional accountant style, right?
Boring.
So it worked in my favor until one moment happened. Carl came into the office, and I'll never forget this guy because my name is Karlton. His name is Carl. My mother did not show up to the office that day because she wasn't feeling well, and I had to take over one of her appointments that day. It was just one consultation that day. I was like, okay, I'll take it over. Normally, I like doing my phone thing. I'll take an in-office appointment. Carl came in with his wife. He was about in his mid-80s. We sat down in the conference room, and he brought in his tax returns. So this was different. I normally am not sitting in front of tax returns, on the phone selling the process. Now, that being said, Carl was wearing like really nice clothes. His wife was wearing really nice clothes. They're a little bit older. She looked kind of like the Queen of England. Very well done. But they had their tax returns and they slid them in front of me and said, "Tell us what you can do, young man." So so I opened the returns and I see that Carl's making 60 to 70 million a year in revenue. Documents are falling out that say oil and gas, real estate, investments. He owns like a meat company, this, and this, all of this stuff. That being said, I was in a position where I did not know how to read tax returns yet. So I went back into my same pitch and started talking to him about what we were going to do, selling the tax planning. And he stopped me and said, "Young man, my returns are right in front of you. Tell me what you can do.
Show me."
And that was
like,
when,
don't bitch me.
Yeah. That was when, honestly, Joe, like all of the testosterone I had built up in my body, like all of the working out I had
became
done,
estrogen.
Bro, it just evaporated like a little balloon fuzzling through the sky, bro.
It's like jumping in cold water.
Oh, bro, I felt like a little dog with tail tucked between his legs. And I was just so embarrassed because I just tell him straight up, like, Carl, I don't really explain what Carla does, and my mother, she will go over the returns. He's like, "You know what? Let's save you the time. How about you have your mother call me when she's back in the office? It was a pleasure meeting you." And then him and his wife just got up and just walked out.
Walked right out. Did you feel like they had a little vibe, like we just wasted our time right here?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. They went straight to the elevator. I felt embarrassed. I went into my office, and later that evening, like right before I left for the day, I just started looking up, like, what is the highest designation that you can get for being a tax professional? And then enrolled agent kept popping up. Enrolled agent, highest designation the IRS gives out for public accounting. You take these 3 tests: an individual test, a representation test, and an ethics test or a business test. And after you pass those 3 tests, you get your enrolled agent's license. So I started studying for it. 6 months later, I got my enrolled agent's license.
Cool.
Now I felt like I was a kid that got hit by a bus and woke up with superpowers the next day.
Wow.
I had the sales knowledge and I had the tax knowledge. I actually know how to read tax returns. I understand all of the strategies now within the code.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to go tell people now. Mm-hmm. And that's when we started YouTube. That's when we got.
That was how many years ago?
That was in 2019.
That was that was a couple years ago, basically.
Yeah, right before COVID.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we're going right into COVID was when I launched my YouTube channel.
I want to get into, some of the success you've had online and why that's happened.
Yeah.
There's a million of those, like these starting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yours really took off. Before we get into that, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you find that people have in an early stage business or mid-stage business that completely restricts them from growth, or they just do not, their perspective of taxing, they see as a challenge, not an opportunity.
Yeah.
So what's your perspective on that? Like if somebody said, you got 2 minutes to change this guy's mind about his theory on taxes, what's the approach?
The approach is understanding the difference between tax preparation and tax planning. If you understand that difference, then you can play a completely different game every single year. 99.9% of all the people in America that have a job earn enough money to be able to file a tax return. So they have to pay somebody to either prepare their returns or they're going to file the returns themselves. That's tax preparation. Everybody with a pulse files a tax return if they make enough money. Not everybody does tax planning. And I would beg to say that the 1% are paying the least amount of taxes because they're planning to throughout the year. So if you can align yourself with a professional that strictly is doing tax planning, you can increase your ability to grow your net worth a lot faster. And so when I'm working with a lot of young business owners, I want them to identify who their professionals are. Your CPA might just be a CPA, a certified public accountant. Their job is to account for everything that goes inside of your return. You may not have hired that person to do tax planning. So you have to understand, just because you're going to him every single year and paying him, he may not be helping you save money on your taxes. He's just doing compliance.
And when
And
people
that-
think taxes,
Yeah.
all the way since I knew how to speak,
Mm-hmm.
it was always Uncle Sam is bad. Taxes are just paying money.
Yeah.
Taxes are a waste. So you grow up.
Yeah.
Like I grew up avoiding taxes in an early stage of my business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was because there was already a preconditioned fear there
Yep.
of even having, I'm finally making some money and then this is just all of it's going to go away.
Yep.
Right. It's
Yep.
the perception
Yep.
that people have that taxes are bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and talk about my personal, understanding of when taxes become corrupt and who the families are behind taxes,
Yeah.
and what the really big agenda is. But you've designed a system to where they become a strategic tool.
Of course.
So if they actually help make you more profitable and more wealthy
Yeah.
over the long run.
Yeah.
You build in all types of things like financial planning, strategic tax planning, real estate leveraging your family, your children, your spouses,
Absolutely.
your organizations, building out additional how to build LLCs, how to do an S corp versus an LLC.
That's right.
So many things. When the average person hears this, like if I start a business and I got 10 employees right now,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing you talk, it can very quickly become overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when we're getting back to the misconception, because I don't want to let that go, even though your answer was amazing. What are the biggest misconceptions people have about taxes?
Yeah. One of the other things that people have to understand about taxes is if you don't put any focus on your taxes, that is your biggest expense every single year. It's not your mortgage, it's not your car payments, it is your taxes.
People are passive.
And people are very passive about it. I want people to understand you don't have to love taxes, but find somebody who loves explaining to you how to utilize the tax code.
How are you supposed to choose that person?
Choosing that person happens when taxes start to become a problem. And you'll know when taxes start to become a problem when you start earning into the six figures. That's when taxes start to really become a burden. When you're making less than about 100K, you're paying around $15,000 in taxes.
Right.
But right around 200, 300,000, that's when you start jumping up to 60, 70, $80,000 in taxes. When you come out of college, you'd be lucky to earn 60, 70,000 getting a job as an engineer. And you're paying that in taxes the more and more successful you become. So then it becomes, well, does it make sense for you to get that pay raise? Does it make sense for you to work those long hours? The more successful you become, the more penalized you are by the government. Why not start utilizing the tax code? Because it's a legal system that helps you reduce your taxable income. And in return, you can build your net worth faster.
I feel like everybody's trying to find a way to take shortcuts on taxes instead of finding a way to leverage their taxation to actually become much more financially positioned for wealth.
Yeah.
At what stage in a business should a person be like, okay, marketing, social media, leads, salespeople, business, bank account? At what stage in the business does a person need to be like tax planning?
Yeah. I think honestly, when you're growing a business, tax planning is not the first thing to focus on. The first thing to focus on is let me make money first. Because once you solve the money problem, you're going to be like, how do I protect the money?
Right.
And that's just kind of the phases of the wealth cycle. I want to go into phase 1, which is wealth accumulation. Then phase 2, which is wealth preservation. And then phase 3 is wealth utilization, where now I'm going to be philanthropic in that phase 3. But as I'm in phase 1, wealth generation, I am more focused on just making sure that I can cover all of my bills and probably replace myself in that business first. And then I'll start figuring out how do I really preserve the wealth that I'm building inside of my business. Now I'm going to bring on a tax professional, bring on a bookkeeping and accounting team, start really digging into the numbers, because now it's more about the bottom line to really help scale my business. Once you get to a place where you have done a lot of tax planning, wealth preservation, now it's wealth utilization. You're going to get to a point where hopefully all of us, where we have so much wealth that now we just have to figure out how are we going to dispose of that wealth? Are we going to give it back?
What makes it difficult to work with somebody? What are some of the most misconstrued expectations people have when you meet with them? And these might be people who are extremely well put together in the line of work that they do.
Yeah.
So that comes with ego. That comes with pride.
Yeah.
Right. And so forth. They're more than happy to go out and invest money into getting that next car or adding on to their sunroom.
Yeah.
But when they walk into your office, they take on a different mindset. Like, I mean, what's the most difficult thing to deal with when working with an entrepreneur?
Sometimes getting the entrepreneur to understand that they need to invest in real estate in order to offset their taxes because they're so caught up in wanting to reinvest in their own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get to a point where they're like, okay, well, I don't want to spend all the money in my business anymore on reinvesting it. So what else can we do from a tax strategy perspective? And I'm like, let's go buy some real estate then. They're like, oh, well, I don't get as big of a return as if I would to put it into ads. Well, then just go dump it into ads then. Well, I don't know if I want to spend all of it on ads. So what do we want to do here, right?
Yeah.
So it's coming down to what are the actual goals of the entrepreneur? Is your goal to just solely focus on just this one vertical, or do we want to diversify? If you're comfortable diversifying, a part of that is also utilizing the strategies of real estate to offset the active income from your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you ever cut people off?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because sometimes people want to hear what they want to hear. And I have a lot of clients who want to leverage the tax code to the fullest extent, which I've always encouraged them to. But there's leveraging the tax code and then there's abusing the tax code. And if you don't follow my advice and you just hear what you want to hear and you try to write something off, I can't sign off on those returns.
Right.
And I have no problem letting that client go because not only do I want to protect the client, I want to be able to protect my license as well to help other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're working with these individuals, I know, being in business, I've experienced it, you've experienced it. You get a basket of different personality types,
Of course.
so on and so forth.
Yes.
When you're working with these people and you find out, what's really happening behind the scenes,
Mhm.
about how long does it take, or what, I shouldn't say, I'm not sure if the right question is how long, but let's say you're cleaning up a mess.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the person is fully committed.
Yeah.
How quickly can you get a company and its owners back on track?
It depends on how messy the situation is. But to give you an example, I've worked with a few clients that have brought me on, and although they're making a lot of money today, you aren't really getting to benefit from that because they have so many taxes that they haven't filed and they know that they owe the IRS. So even though there's money sitting in their bank account, they know that that money's not theirs, right? So we end up having to do bookkeeping and accounting for multiple years to get their books reconciled. So we at least know how much is going to be able to offset the amount of money they made over those last couple of years. File those returns year after year. And if the IRS will allow for you, try to get a penalty abatement where you can try to remove a penalty and interest for 1 year. Sometimes the IRS will allow you to do that. Sometimes they won't. Typically, they give it to you once in your lifetime. But then your client is paying all of those taxes. After they pay the taxes, you're finally caught up into the current year. Now you can say, woof, we filed, let's just say 2020, 2021, 2023. Now we're in 2024. Let's figure out how much income you've already made this year and how much you're planning to make for the remainder of the year. So we're not ever in that position again. And that's where clients need to be.
So it depends how deep the hole is.
Depends how deep the hole is. And I would say the deepest I've gone back for a taxpayer was 10 years.
Wow.
Where they were literally being harassed by the IRS for 7 years, and the IRS really wanted to see 10 years. So we went back and filed 10 years of returns.
Got it. It's amazing, dude. I mean, look, it's only been 4 or 5 years that you've really, really laid into this thing.
Yeah.
But you've done extreme things prior to that. It's interesting because even when we're looking for leaders, we try to find leaders that have an athletic background or a military background.
Yeah.
Because they're not pussies.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like they have
the
grit. Resilience factor. The grit is there.
Yep.
What would you say is maybe, and it could be personal, not just business life, but what's one of the biggest, challenges that you've had to go overcome so far?
Yeah. I mean, early on in my career, when we were growing so fast and I started my personal brand and I was attracting celebrities and stuff like that, I didn't realize what was required of me in order to meet what they were looking for. And so I onboarded a few people that I looked up to, like celebrities, like music artists. I actually listened to their music preparing for football games, like people like that. And unfortunately, I lost a few of those clients because their expectations were that their work was going to get done in a lot quicker time than the process that I had in place at the time. And so that forced me to realize that if I want to be able to deal with clients like that, I have to know exactly what their expectations are and be willing to exceed their expectations.
High status people, are their expectations sometimes just ridiculous?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And it's extremely important that you educate them on the front end so that their expectations don't damage the relationship.
So instead of over promising to get their business, come straight with it from the very beginning. Go hard in the paint.
100%. It's always better to come straight with it from the beginning.
Condition the
and
relationship.
then you can, condition the relationship. Let them know how it is. And then when you can pull off a miracle, that's when it's great.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
When it comes to like challenges and things like that, I noticed how you shifted directly into your business side of things.
Yeah.
How about personal?
When you said what now?
Personal challenges.
Yeah. Some of the personal challenges I would say is
there a big one that stands out? Is there a tearjerker, one that made you go nuts?
No, I would say personal challenges is just knowing that you're competing with yourself every single day and the habits that prevent you from feeling like you're accomplishing what you're meant to accomplish. I know that all of us have our own vices in our life, or all of us have our own habits that we know that we want to rid away with. Mm-hmm. So in my personal life, I've been looking to address a lot of that. For me, that's been taking a bigger focus on my health. I've increased my workout to twice a day, eliminating drinking. And what that's done for me is it has allowed for me to not only get my six-pack back, I just feel a sense of self-worth about myself. Yeah. And what I noticed when I started doing that was I felt more confident to post on the internet. It's like I'm already posting more than any other tax professional in the world.
Yes.
But I'm not the one that's posting.
Yes.
Now I'm posting myself. I'm confident enough to where it's like, dude, I want to make my message out there, not give it to my team and tell my team to post it. I want to post something for myself right now. And that's because I'm falling more in love with myself. And you fall more in love with yourself and you want to be able to help other people at the exact same time.
You know, it's very interesting because my question was, what's one of the biggest personal challenges you've had to overcome? Mm-hmm. And your answer wasn't the avoidance of personal challenges. You ended up shifting into an answer to challenges are always happening, but here's my perspective on them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so interesting because I mentioned athletes and military, or even people with very strict and well-cultured upbringing in their family, tend to have that sort of an edge.
Yes.
That it's not, I wasn't pampered to, I'm not spoiled, but I do have a strong foundation.
Right.
This comes to show that early on influences in life have a lasting effect on how an individual responds to the real world.
Without a doubt.
Moving forward.
Without a doubt.
You also mentioned staying in shape, being healthy twice a day.
Yeah.
Okay, brother.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
You know what it is? It's the Muay Thai now. Now that I picked up Muay Thai, that's like my second workout for the day. So I meet with my trainer in the morning. We work out. We typically do functional strength training. I'm in there 5 o'clock in the morning just religiously. But after that 5 o'clock training, I got my little period in the sauna and steam room, and then I head over to Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. And then I'm getting in with Muay Thai for about 45 to an hour. That amount of sweating just back to back sets me up. Like I'm good for the day. The rest of the day, I don't have to do anything else but just work now.
Right.
And most people are sometimes they'll go into the gym in the morning and then they want to come back in the afternoon and hit the weights. They did cardio in the morning, but then sometimes they don't get to the gym in the afternoon, or they don't go as hard in the afternoon. That's why I like kind of just getting it done in the morning.
I've caught myself making that excuse. I mean, I've been, incorporating the gym and health and, kind of this obsession with studying nutrition.
Yeah.
I'm not always 100% disciplined, but I like the 90-10 rule.
Yeah.
Like 90% on it, 10%, I get it.
Same.
There's one of the arguments is that, there's plenty of successful people who are not in shape, who aren't healthy. I beg to differ because I'm not looking at the success. They tend to look at the financials.
Yeah, they do.
Instead of sort of the beast mode of the individual.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's like this all-encompassing. Have you noticed that being extremely athletic and energetically and visually a fucking monster has an impact on your respect level in the business world?
Without a doubt.
Right away, right?
Oh, without a doubt. Like me.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's just masculinity. I don't know. But being in shape commands respect because people understand the sacrifice that is required in order to have a great physique. They understand the sacrifice. So if you're not only a big dog in business, but you also show other people that you got that big dog body at the same time, it's like,
we're not talking big. We're just talking like noticeably physically
but
fit.
it's just noticeably that you sacrificed.
Sure.
then it's noticeable that you sacrifice.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse this conversation with muscle
Yeah.
or meathead or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a significant difference. And
Without a
when it comes
doubt.
to success, I mean, look, we have become friends with, people like, I'm just gonna, people who are beyond 50 years old in their careers,
Mhm.
who have later in life turned their attention, now that they got the money,
To
have
fitness.
become more aware of fitness and health.
Right.
Especially since now that they're a brand, they have a lot more eyes on them. Whatever the motivation was, maybe a health scare.
Yeah.
I've noticed even some of these people have become ridiculously more impactful into their 50s and 60s than they even were when they were 30, 40 years old.
Jeff
25 years
Bezos,
old.
Mark Zuckerberg are both in the best shapes of their life right now.
Yeah, that's nice.
And these guys are growing their businesses twice as big than they were before right now, which is actually incredible.
But Karlton, they have more time on their hands. They're wealthy. They don't have the schedule that we have. They don't have as many kids as we have.
Oh.
We have a lot more responsibility. It's easy to do once you're a millionaire. Respond.
Oh my goodness, man. The amount of sacrifices that those men have made, they just have solved bigger problems than you. That's really what it is. And they kept doing it over and over and over again until they got to a point where they are now. I hear that all the time, and those are just excuses. And I don't like to surround myself with people that like to make excuses about people who have built successful businesses.
Does it trigger you? Do you feel the need to pull away from them?
I do. I absolutely do. Because
Kindly or
yeah,
respectfully?
kindly, respectfully. Because at the end of the day, it's like I'm at this point in my life where, dude, if you tell me the sky's purple, it's purple, man. I'm just gonna retreat from the conversation. I don't have time for it anymore.
You know how Michael Jordan used to, in many cases, make up fictitious stories about people hating on him or judging him or questioning his ability just to get himself pissed off enough into beast mode and like fire up and whatnot? Like, what types of things trigger you in that way?
Ooh.
Real side. No podcast BS. The real side.
Man. Things that trigger me is people just wasting their talent. I see that all the time. Like people,
that triggers you?
It does.
To make you want to go even harder?
I don't know what it is about it. It's just like, I don't know if that makes me want to go harder, but it makes me want to capitalize on the opportunity that I've been given. Because I could have easily gone in a different direction, but I chose not to, like many successful people have. But when I see people that have the gift, when I see people that have that it factor and they're not exploiting on that, or they're out making silly decisions, it just bothers me. It just makes me wake up the next day and just be like, dude, this is exactly why I'm different.
This is
like, this is exactly why I'm different.
Because I was like, what pisses you off? But then you took it into like, no, actually watching mediocrity in other people reminds me how prevalent the Matrix is.
Yes.
That people are so easily influenced to stay inside of their shell that it motivates you.
Without a doubt.
Look, I can remember times even in my childhood where I was made fun of, or somebody doubted me, or said that I wouldn't go back to school. I remember I was getting a haircut one time and I took a semester out of college. And one of our family friends said, "Oh, you're not going to go back." And just hearing that, immediately I went home and started a plan to make sure that I'm completing the next year and a half. Like, what do we need to do? What does the world or an individual need to do to spark your fucking beast?
Oh man, bro, I'm naturally already
really
sparked,
that really
bro.
moment.
Yeah, and the reason why is because when I didn't go to the NFL and everybody and their mother thought that that was going to be the natural next step for me, the spark was already lit. I had to go prove to everybody else that I was going to go be successful in something else. Then when the success started happening.
So you're saying the when you realized you weren't going to be able to do that.
Yeah, when I realized I was not going to be able, it wasn't even that I was not going to be able to do the NFL. I chose not to do the NFL pro day. So I didn't even give myself the opportunity. And a part of me was because I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to know, what if I was a failure, right? Gosh, what if I failed at it? And I let that failure build up inside of my head, and I literally did not go to my pro day.
That's a dangerous perspective.
Yeah.
Because that perspective could stop people from wanting to see to go all the way to see if they would have even failed to succeed.
Exactly. Who knows if I would have succeeded? Who knows if I would still be playing in the NFL?
Should I stop doing the show because what if I'm a failure?
Absolutely not.
I got to challenge you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So you had a self-awareness that you're like, are you sure? Was it possibly the fact that you had some type of an awareness or self-awareness that you actually whether you realized it, you had an intellectual response that you didn't want to be an athlete and that you actually wanted to do something more long term?
It's like I had already convinced myself mentally that this is not what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to go find success in something else.
Mm.
And you need to go jump into something very quick, because if you don't, you're going to look like you didn't have a plan.
So you're like, this was fun, but it's not for me.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I went directly to career fair, got a job right away. And as soon as I graduated the following week, I started my first day.
When you could see,
Yeah.
I know you're
Went straight in.
You said I went directly. In my head, I pictured that decision happening and you taking a shower, putting your shoes on, and driving to career fair like the same day.
Yeah, literally, it happened within weeks of me making the decision that I'm not going to do it.
Immediate action, people.
Yeah. And then I'm at career fair. I'm walking around realizing, okay, I should probably have a button-up shirt. Went back home, got a button-up shirt, went to career fair, and then was like, who's gonna vibe with this football athlete?
I should probably have a button-up shirt. So I went to the store, I bought a button-up shirt,
went back,
then I went
back. Yep. And then Gallo Wine Company was the only one that gave me opportunity, man. And that's why I started my career at Gallo. But I started my personal training business because I knew that if I could focus on personal training, which is something I was good at because I played football really well, because I was so strong, I can grow this personal training business to be a big personal training business. So I started getting with my film guy, Mike, and this was my first time launching my YouTube channel, was my fitness channel.
Oh, wow.
So I was on the internet doing fitness. I was training with all these pro physique guys out in Huntington Beach and going down to Venice Beach and trying to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I was in that fitness space. And that's why I wasn't really committed to the tax and accounting industry until I had that turning point where I sat in my mother's office and watched her close those deals.
Wow.
And realized I can make money and help people doing the exact same thing that she's doing.
And still enjoy
the
fitness
part of it. Instead of having to train all these people, which I'm only one person.
Right.
Why don't I just train myself and then focus on selling, tax planning?
See, this is what I wanted to talk about, not the tax stuff that's already overly abundant on your own channel.
Yeah.
Right. Life is changing very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, what do you have planned? I mean, what is your vision for where you're going, where you're taking your team over the next year or two?
Yeah. I mean, right now we're focusing on just implementing the right systems and process to allow for us to scale, because of the fact that we have really great outlets that bring us a lot of inflow. Our goal isn't really to onboard, millions of clients every single year. Our goal is strategically to work with the right types of clients every single year and only open up that gate whenever we need to, and making sure that we just take care of our clients. Because the way my business is structured, we're more dealing with high-level entrepreneurs, high-level income earners. So we really need to make sure that we are providing that high-level service for these people 365 days out of the year. So my infrastructure and how I'm building out process and procedures is the focus for the foreseeable future right now. I see our business growing into becoming one of the largest tax strategy companies in the United States, for sure.
The tax topic is literally an epidemic right now in the country. Yeah. And not just with businesses, but with individuals too.
Yes, it is.
It is crazy. And whenever that happens, and we're also in the middle of an inflationary contraction.
Yep.
Whenever that happens, people start freaking out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it limits, especially if you're an entrepreneurial minded person or you're a business owner, your tendency is to withdraw or to reduce. What's your advice to people right now on if they do have a business or are starting one or have a matured business?
Yeah.
Is this the time to lean in and be aggressive about growth? Have you come across that situation with your current clients? You have some big ones and some medium ones. What would you advise an individual to do during an economy like this?
Yeah, for each business is different, but what I would encourage a business owner to take into consideration right now is, what can you do to continue to eliminate tax and grow at the exact same time? Because if you can focus on implementing the right strategies with the right advisors right now and set up the correct tax strategies, these strategies can help you, knowing that we're probably going to deal with a tax code change during this next presidential election. Because you can't control who's going to become your next president. I mean, you can vote, but you can't really control what's going to happen with the tax code. I would encourage you to take advantage of what is in existence right now. Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act actually ends in 2025. So a lot of these strategies that people have been utilizing, such as bonus depreciation, they're going to go away after 2025. So it's important that you take advantage of what you can, not knowing whether or not taxes are going to go up or go down.
So what's contradicting is our state is made fun of because of our taxing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm from the Midwest. My brother is super conservative. Yeah, born and raised in Peoria, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
My big brother lives in Michigan.
Yeah.
Super hardcore conservative. Basically conservative, but very open to everybody family.
Yeah.
My other brother is 25 years military in Florida.
Okay.
And they're always like, oh, you guys' taxes, your guys' expenses, you're a tax expert who lives in California.
Yeah.
Who lives in one of the most expensive places in California.
Yes, I do. The most expensive.
Do we move? Do we stay? Does it matter?
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny having this conversation because it comes up all the time when I'm talking to my clients that are from Florida or from Texas. You're a tax professional. Why do you live in California? First off, I don't pay any federal taxes. Make sure that's well known. I don't pay any federal taxes. So Uncle Sam doesn't get any of my money. Does the state of California get some of my money? Absolutely. But I tell people all the time, once you get to heaven, would you leave? I mean, let's be honest. Would you?
Do you just correlate heaven and taxes somehow?
I correlated heaven and California because California, in my opinion, is the best place to live in the United States. I own real estate in Texas. I own real estate in Florida. I could have moved to Florida. I could have moved to Texas, but I chose not to. And it's not just the fact that family's here or that the beaches or the weather. It's just the fact that it is just safe.
It's like you don't want to see yourself as being a everyday victim to taxing in California or federally even, and that you have learned to leverage it.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm paying 13% a year and the average person in America is paying 30% a year, I'm still happy with that.
And it's all by the book.
Yeah.
It's planned out.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like, because when people hear, I'm paying 13%, I pay no federal taxes. Oh, he must be shady. Oh, they're just giving you the good stuff on this show.
Yeah.
You for sure they're fudging paperwork, yada, 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 yada. What's your response to that?
My response is that it's easy to show how to eliminate tax if you understand the right information. When you're eliminating tax, you're typically reducing income off of a tax return. There's only so many ways that you can do that. So if I'm taking income off of a business tax return, I'm either spending it on expenses or I'm creating some type of other form of a loss that can offset the income that's flowing over on the tax return. Real estate creates a loss on the tax returns. And if you have enough real estate and you have enough losses, you can offset income every single year. That being said, I may not be paying Uncle Sam, but I have to go spend money to make sure I'm not paying taxes. And that's me investing in real estate. And the more real estate I have, the more depreciation that's utilized to offset the working income.
What is the most important thing to you right now?
Taking care of family. Absolutely. My wife right now is pregnant and we're getting ready to have our first daughter. So
that's right.
There's absolutely nothing more important than stepping into this daddy role.
Yeah.
Checking down, making sure that I didn't get no phone calls now because I'm on high alert.
Yeah. And I want to thank you again, man, because it's such an important moment in life.
Yeah.
Right. This new chapter of yours, bringing in a new blessing, a new life into the world.
Without a doubt.
And you were, I remember your coordinator assistant was like, we may have to postpone. And I'm like, it's only an hour and a half.
She keeps me on,
right? Like
keeps me on the straight and narrow.
It's tough to lock each other down and other, friends of ours.
Yeah.
But I really want to, give you my personal appreciation for taking the time.
Of course. Absolutely, man.
Wishing you the best, you and your wifey.
Thank you.
On this exciting chapter. I'd love to continue this conversation. For those of you out there who would love to hear a lot more from Karlton, and it's an area of your life or that you're anticipating or planning for that you just want to grab it right now and understand it, break it down so it's easy to learn from a really cool dude. He's got courses online. He's got just an enormous amount of value and knowledge. He breaks it down so simply, whether you're a 20-year veteran in business or whether you're a young professional like he was when he made the pivot from the fitness and athletic world into the business world. And this is a fear that you have, fear meaning you avoid it. You don't want to hear about it. You kind of like look at it as an Achilles heel almost.
Mm.
Definitely spend some time. And I mean, spend some time looking at his content, and really understand how quickly and how easily you can become sort of an expert in your own right. And then if you guys need some very, very well thought out planning, you need to make moves quickly. You need to avoid making mistakes, sometimes even years of mistakes. You haven't made a move in a while because you're not sure how to handle whatever burden it is that you've been creating or are creating right now. You've got to reach out. It doesn't necessarily have to be with Karlton. He mentions that all the time on his channel, but you need to reach out for professional help. For you youngsters out there that need somebody to be in your circle, people ask me all the time, who should I get mentorship from? Or, oh, you know all these people. How do you know all these people? You don't have to know people like Karlton personally in order to take their advice or to get to know them. They're spending thousands of hours a year cranking out information and material and sharing their own life story. So if you haven't already, please go check him out, Tax Alchemy, Karlton Dennis. Obviously, we'll drop the link below. Man, you've been a great example to young professionals. You've been a great example as a friend to many. We don't see each other as often as we'd like to, but you've been a great example to me as well, even at an early stage, a very aggressive early stage of your career. I wish you the best.
Likewise,
I'm excited to see how things go with the family, and I really appreciate your time coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
You got it. Yes, guys, we'll see you next time. More from Karlton in the future, hopefully. Go check out some of his stuff. You're going to love it. We'll talk to you later.
Take care.